Hello everyone and welcome to the September 12th, 2022 episode of the Bullshit Podcast. My name is Verve, your host, and with me is nobody again, because for a different reason this time though. Last time it was because I had such short notice that I couldn't really, get a guest together in the first place, because it was such short notice. This time, however, I chose to do this one solo because there's a lot. There is a lot of shit. For some reason, Ubisoft decided to info vomit a ton of shit at us. And that's actually going to be our first topic. So I purposefully did not have a guest because of this first topic, because if I'm gonna get through it in the allotted time that a normal bullshit podcast occurs, I'm gonna need to turbo through this, and the last thing I need is a guest offering their 2 cents. Not saying that I'm not grateful for guests when they're on and they offer their 2 cents, but this episode specifically, there's gonna be a fucking lot of shit that we talk about, specifically about Ubisoft. So our first topic, the biggest topic ever of all time, because it's all about Assassin's Creed this week. Yes, last Saturday on the 10th was Ubisoft Forward. Now, I haven't really followed anything Ubisoft's been doing recently, because ever since Assassin's Creed has gone to shit, it's been kind of low on my list of priorities to pay attention and look at. But now what happened on Saturday has me intrigued. First off, they made some big announcements for the Assassin's Creed IP. First off is Assassin's Creed Mirage, which is the one that we've been, talking about. It's regarded as one of the most leaked fucking, games of all time. So this is, from here on, this is straight from the articles. Assassin's Creed Mirage. This game was officially revealed last week following extensive leaks, and as expected, Ubisoft had a lot more to share about it during today's Ubisoft Forward showcase. This article was written last Saturday, so assume that, we're talking about last Saturday. Basim Ibn Ishaq. I don't know if I butchered that. Master Assassin from Assassin's Creed Valhalla is taking the lead role this time, but he'll be much younger. This game follows his journey from a thief on the luscious, and diverse streets of Golden Age Baghdad in 861. To an apprentice of the Hidden Ones to a master assassin. So, okay, I read that kind of weird. This game is going to follow this dude's journey from being a petty thief, then joining the Assassin Order, then actually becoming the master assassin. It also represents a return to the series' roots, with heavy inspiration from the first Assassin's Creed game that started it all. So, I mean, that sounds really fucking good. If this game can actually return to its roots and make stealth something worth fucking doing, that's definitely a big fucking step in the right direction. Next up from the article, we have, they announced Assassin's Creed Codename Red. Get used to hearing that. There's at least 2 other games on top of this one that they've announced that use that codename naming scheme. So, Assassin's Creed Codename Red. Finally, Assassin's Creed is heading to Japan. It doesn't have an official title, but for now, Ubisoft is calling it Assassin's Creed Codename Red. It is set in feudal Japan, and it will be the next mainline flagship title for the franchise, which seems to point towards being the next Assassin's Creed game after Mirage comes out next year. Not much else was revealed about the actual game, but Ubisoft did say it will launch within the platform of Assassin's Creed Infinity. Codename Red is being developed by Ubisoft Quebec, the studio behind Odyssey. So, I'm assuming that unless Codename Red also goes back to its roots, Assassin's Creed's roots, it's probably going to be shit. Which really sucks, because, a feudal Japanese Assassin's Creed game is something that a lot of fans, including myself, wanted for quite a fucking while. Yeah, it's interesting. So Assassin's Creed Infinity. Ubisoft revealed that Codename Red and then 2 other games that were announced, or it's Codename Red and another game we'll get into in a minute, are coming to Assassin's Creed Infinity. In Infinity, not Affinity. Infinity. Ubisoft revealed today that Infinity is not a game per se, but a portal for future Assassin's Creed games. It will be a quote-unquote hub that will unite the company's different experiences and its players in, quote, meaningful ways. According to the showcase, Ubisoft is investigating how to bring back multiplayer to the series in the form of standalone multiplayer experiences in the Assassin's Creed universe that can be connected through the Infinity Hub. So, it seems to me like Warzone from Call of Duty. I know we talk about Call of Duty way too much on this podcast. I'm sorry. I just really like Call of Duty. It seems like they're taking the Call of Duty Warzone approach to this, and they're kind of making like one unified multiplayer that will just pick and choose different stuff from each release to throw in there. Which is a good idea. It saves them from releasing a new fucking version of the game every fucking few years. They can just have one version that they just kind of throw shit into over and over again. So that's interesting. The next game is called Assassin's Creed Codename Hex, but instead of H-E-X, it's H-E-X-E. For some reason they added an extra E on the end of that. I'm not sure why. But it is Codename Hex, which is the other one that is involved with Assassin's Creed Infinity, which is like that, you know, multiplayer thing. But Assassin's Creed Codename Hex, which received a short teaser trailer, seems to port towards something in the vein of witch hunts and horror. Codename Hex is being developed by Ubisoft Montreal, which is the birthplace of the Assassin's Creed series. Its teaser trailer apparently has secrets for fans to discover, so start looking now. Out of every single announcement that Ubisoft has made, aside from Mirage, which is coming out next year, Hex is the most interesting one to me. I am very interested to see what happens with Codename Hex. Because an Assassin's Creed horror game sounds fucking lit, to be honest. I can't believe I just used lit unironically, but whatever. Okay. Moving on to our next one. This is our, I think, third or fourth to last fucking thing to cover here. Just for this, just for the introductions for each of these. Assassin's Creed Codename Jade. Codename Jade will be Ubisoft's first open-world mobile Assassin's Creed game, featuring all the, quote, iconic Assassin's Creed gameplay, but optimized for an experience with touch controls. Set in ancient China, players will be able to create and customize their own assassins for the first time in the franchise. Not true. Unity did that first. You'll be able to sneak through bustling cities, engage in intense combat, discover the secrets and vastness of ancient China, and climb atop the Great Wall of China in Codename Jade, which is, quote, coming soon to mobile devices according to Ubisoft. That's it for a lot of the new shit in terms of the games. The last thing for the video games is Assassin's Creed Valhalla: The Last Chapter. Which I'm assuming is a DLC. So Ubisoft is preparing to say goodbye to the adventures of Eivor. Is that really his name, Eivor? Is that really that character's name? The main character's name in Valhalla is Eivor in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and it's doing so with one last quest arc called The Last Chapter. Ubisoft says it ties up some of the remaining storylines established throughout the game's narrative and will reunite Eivor with key characters, including some with historical significance. Ubisoft did not reveal when The Last Chapter would be coming to Valhalla. They just kind of announced it and said, hey, it's going to be a thing. So that's it for the games. Last three things. The last two things that we know of, and then everything else. Assassin's Creed 15th Anniversary documentary. The company revealed that it would be releasing an Assassin's Creed documentary that gives viewers a behind-the-scenes look at the last 15 years. And then the Assassin's Creed Netflix series. Unfortunately, Ubisoft didn't have anything to show in regards to this announcement, but it did say it's still happening and will be a, quote, epic genre-bending live-action adaptation of the video game series. The company also has a new mobile game in development for Netflix's gaming platform, which I'm assuming that is probably Jade, Codename Jade. I'm assuming that they'll just double down and add it to the App Store and whatever, and now also Netflix's gaming platform. And then finally, everything else. And a flurry of quick announcements related to the series' 15th anniversary. Ubisoft revealed that a concert called Assassin's Creed Symphonic Adventure is on the way. So is an Amunet figurine, a podcast called Assassin's Creed Echoes of History, a novel called The Magnus Conspiracy, and some Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag webtoons. So that is a broad, generalized covering of everything that happened. Like, that is just a broad stroke covering of everything that I'm sorry, what was it called? Ubisoft Forward? Yeah. This is a broad covering of what Ubisoft Forward covered. We're already 10 minutes into the podcast, and we're only about halfway through this fucking topic. This is massive. So, that's just the tip of the iceberg, as we have some more info specifically about Codename Red, which here is the tweet. Let me pull this up real quick. Let me make sure that I have this up. There you go. That's the tweet. This is the tweet for Codename Red. They tweeted, experience the full Shinobi fantasy in our future open world RPG title sent during feudal Japan, Assassin's Creed Codename Red. So there's a screenshot of the tweet. And the article accompanying that tweet from Game Informer reads, if you've been begging for years for an Assassin's Creed game set in Japan, you're in luck because Ubisoft announced Assassin's Creed Codename Red today during its Ubisoft Forward showcase. While the company only released a small teaser for this game, it did say it takes place in feudal Japan and that it will give players the ultimate, quote, shinobi fantasy. It's also calling Codename Red the next flagship title in the Assassin's Creed franchise, meaning it's probably the next entry after Mirage. It's being developed by Ubisoft Quebec, which is the studio behind Odyssey, which we've said prior. So there you go. Again, a feudal Japan Assassin's Creed. I do kind of like the logo. The logo looks kind of nice. I do enjoy, like, the little... I do like almost, like, the blood painting kind of vibe going on here. I do enjoy this, like, blood painting kind of vibe going on. I'm not sure what it's called. They're just giving them code names at this point, but I do enjoy what I've seen from Codename Red thus far, which is just a little teaser. The little teaser was cool. This one I am super stoked about. Some more info on Codename Hex. This is the fucking logo for it. We work in the dark. That's all we can say for now about Assassin's Creed Codename Hex. Look at this, dude. The fucking logo is like Blair Witch tied up twigs. That is fucking sick, dude. Oh my god. I hope that it's like a fucking horror game, dude. Like I don't want it to be like a linear horror game like the Dark Pictures anthology or anything. I would love it to be like an open world horror game. Like that would be fucking like sick. So Ubisoft also touched on its in development Assassin's Creed Infinity game, which is less a game and more of a platform portal, yada yada, so on and so forth. Codename Red will be a part of Infinity, as will Assassin's Creed Codename Hex, another game Ubisoft teased today in development at Ubisoft Montreal, the birthplace of the series. This teaser was short and sweet, but it features a distinct horror tone. The Hidden Ones symbol that appears during it is made of tree branches and feels very witch hunt-like in nature. And then, in parentheses, it says, aligning with rumors that Hex is about the witch trials during the 17th century reign of the Holy Roman Empire. Which would be sick, dude. Like a fucking... I mean, it wouldn't be in Salem in the US, but like a fucking, you know, witch... Like a witchy, kind of like witch hunt, like... You know, maybe some maybe some of the Hidden Ones. You play as like an assassin in the game that's like being accused of being a witch, and you have to like clear your name. Dude, that would be fucking sick. And it's like a whole like fucking like... You're combining like the horrors of man together with some like spiritual stuff. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that Assassin's Creed has kind of walked the line of science and spirituality, like the ghosts in Brotherhood, for example. Like these little like animus apparitions that Desmond sees running around, like the white ghosts and stuff. Like that'd be so fucking sick if they capitalized on that concept, and like in the game your assassin is experiencing like ghosts and like these weird paranormal phenomena as you're trying to like clear your name from being a witch or something. That'd be so sick, dude. I want an Assassin's Creed horror game. That sounds so dope. But anyway, finally, we're going to talk about Assassin's Creed Jade a bit. So here is the tweet. It says, take Assassin's Creed everywhere you go with Assassin's Creed Codename Jade, a AAA RPG action-adventure game for mobile devices sent in ancient China. So as you can see, it's just the Hidden Ones Assassin's Creed logo, but made of jade. It's literally like a very simplistic design. Nice looking, but simplistic. The company also revealed a new mobile game, Assassin's Creed Codename Jade. Unlike previous mobile titles in the franchise, Codename Jade will be an open-world RPG set in ancient China. It will also be the first game in the franchise that allows you to create and customize your very own assassin, which isn't entirely true. Yes, it may be the first time you can customize what your assassin looks like under the hood, but Unity had assassin customization as well. And now, finally, to wrap up this topic, we're going to be talking about Mirage. So, here we go. 15 minutes later, we're on to the final bit of this first massive fucking Ubisoft info dump. Finally, onto the latest mainline title said to hit digital and physical storefronts next year, Mirage. Reading from the article now. Following numerous leaks over previous few weeks, Ubisoft officially revealed that Assassin's Creed Mirage is real. As expected, Ubisoft revealed a lot more about Mirage during Ubisoft's Forward showcase, including the game's protagonist, setting, and more. If you've been paying attention to leaks or rumors, you likely had a good idea of what Mirage will be. So, doubly after today's presentation, Basim Ishak is Master Assassin from Valhalla. Will take the lead role. However, he is not the polished warrior you might remember him as, because Mirage takes place years before Valhalla. In this game, he's a young thief, and his playground is the luscious and diverse streets of Baghdad, Iraq, set in 861, a period when Baghdad was the epicenter of science, art, and trade in the world. Basim will stumble upon the hidden ones. He'll be taken under the wing of mentor Roshan, voiced by Emmy-winning actress Sore Agdashlu? This name, Shore Agdashlu, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, probably not, will help him grow from street thief to apprentice to master assassin. Ubisoft presentation also revealed... Sorry, I lost my train of thought, or where I was reading. Ubisoft's presentation also revealed that Mirage represents a return to the roots of Assassin's Creed, inspired heavily by the first game that started it all. Gone are the multicolored loot, giant sprawling maps, and dozens of quest lines and side quests. Mirage is a linear action-adventure game set in the ultra-dense city of Baghdad, where the series' three main pillars, stealth, parkour, and assassination, take the spotlight once more. I want to point out that kind of worries me a little bit, that it says, gone are the multicolored loot, thank God. Giant sprawling maps and dozens of quest lines and side quests. I don't mind the dozens of quest lines and side quests being gone. I'm so glad that the multicolored loot is fucking gone. But I still want an open world map. Like, I still want it to be, like, maybe not as open world as fucking Origins was, but, like, I'm hoping that it's still a linear experience, but it gives you open world maps to explore and be in along the way. Kind of like Assassin's Creed 2, where, like, Assassin's Creed 2 had multiple maps. It had, like, 3 or 4 different little open world maps that you could switch between. I hope it's kind of more like that. But yeah. And that's where I will stop talking about it for now. Don't want too much of the podcast to be only Assassin's Creed, but so far I'm liking what I'm hearing, and I can't wait to see what the game is like. I'm not buying at launch, though, because fuck that. I made that mistake with Origins, and I don't want to regret buying this one, too, in case it's not really a return to classic Assassin's Creed. So, just in case if they're like, oh, yeah, we're returning to classic Assassin's Creed, we're the fucking greatest, we're so cool, we're gonna make this grand return to the classic formula, and and then it's, like, nothing like the classic Assassin's Creed games. I don't want to go off and fucking buy that game expecting all this greatness only for it to turn into bullshit, so. We'll see about that. Sorry, I had to take a sip of my drink. So finally, after talking for 20 minutes, we're moving on to our second topic of the podcast. There's a new Marvel game I'm not going to play, but I'm still covering it because I'm sure that there are people here that do care about new Marvel games. So there is another new Marvel game coming out. It's called Marvel's Midnight Suns, and it has a new gameplay trailer and a release date following its delay out of October. Firaxis is the developer, and Firaxis' superhero RPG is set to arrive on December 2nd. So just in time for it to release, and then by the end of that month you can get it for Christmas. The gameplay trailer offers a montage of tactical card-based combat, as well as choice-driven relationship building. We also got word that a series of animated shorts serve as a prequel to the game's plot. The first episode arrives on October 31st on Marvel's YouTube channel. So it's a YouTube animated series that is kind of like setting up the story for the game. Firaxis previously announced Marvel's Midnight Suns will have a staggered launch. So the PlayStation 5, Xbox XS, X and S, and PC versions will launch on December 2nd. Meanwhile, the Switch and the last-gen versions, so Xbox One and PlayStation 4 versions, will hit sometime later on. That is unannounced as of yet. So from what I saw from the trailers, because I did watch the trailer because the article itself does not say anything about what this game is like, so I watched the trailers to get a vague idea. It only says that it offers a montage of tactical card-based combat. So what I'm getting from it is it's essentially one of those like hugely glorified card games. It's a third-person action game. I want to point that out. It's a third-person RPG, like a third-person RPG action game. Like your typical, like we were talking about Assassin's Creed or like Dark Souls. It's like a third-person camera-oriented action game. Action RPG. But the way that it seems like the game mechanics work is your character has these quote-unquote cards, which in a meta representation they're represented as cards, but really it's just like friends you can call in to help you. So you collect these cards along the way, and these cards represent other Marvel heroes you can call in to help you fight. So there's like Wolverine, there's Spider-Man, there's all that stuff. I think you play as a custom character, and you can call in like the other Marvel heroes to help you. I think that's like a vague idea of the game of what I got from the trailer, because I'd never heard about this game until this article. I read this article, so apparently that's it. Moving on to our third topic, which is another new Marvel game that I probably again won't buy. This one definitely has a better chance of me buying it than the last one, but I'm still probably not going to buy it. And I do need to preface this other new Marvel game by explaining kind of what's going on with who its developers are, because I looked up their developers and I couldn't really find anything about them, and then I opened up a whole can of worms. It's like this multi-company thing. So there's a new development studio called Skydance New Media. If the name Skydance sounds familiar, they're actually a bigger film company called Skydance Media, and they've worked on a lot of big movies like the J.J. Abrams Star Trek films. They worked on Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. They worked on World War Z, and most recently they worked on Top Gun Maverick. And they also have another game studio that's not Skydance New Media called Skydance Interactive, which specifically work on VR titles. And they made The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners VR game that came out in 2020. Well, now they have a new company again that isn't Skydance Media with movies, and it isn't Skydance Interactive with VR games. It's just called Skydance New Media, which just works on, I guess, normal video games or something. And they're working on a Captain America game. So, in the world of Marvel Comics, the word ensemble invokes thoughts of the Avengers, X-Men, or Fantastic Four. Recently, we learned Skydance, New Media, and Marvel Entertainment were working on an Ensemble Marvel video game. The internet's rumor mill believed this game would focus on Reed Richards and his Fantastic Family, but yesterday during the Disney and Marvel's Game Showcase, we learned that this ensemble wasn't Fantastic Four, Avengers, or any known Marvel team whatsoever. Skydance is actually creating its own team of 4 heroes set to the backdrop of World War II. The time frame has Captain America front and center fighting against Hydra and the World War II German troops. They use the NZI word, which I'm not going to say because I don't think Twitch likes that very much. So you fight against Hydra and German troops. Through a narrative twist, Wakanda gets involved, and players gain control of Black Panther, but not the one you know. This Black Panther, since it's set in World War II, is Azuri, which is T'Challa's grandfather. And if you think that's a deep cut into Marvel lore, the other two characters are even lesser known. Excuse me. From the Howling Commandos, players will suit up as Gabriel Jones, who plays a mean trumpet in the comics. The fourth character is Nanali, the leader of a new Wakandan spy network who has only been in a few comics. The most puzzling aspect of this game's reveal is the lack of a name. Following the announcement, I sat down with Amy Hennig, Skydance New Media's president, and Mark Bernardin, Skydance's story consultant. I asked them why they decided to announce a project without a name. Quote, names take time, Hennig says with a smile. Quote, we want to go through this process carefully and not rush it. We are telling an original story, so there is not a book or title or team we can immediately point to. Coming up with a title that lands like a Marvel title lands and is original is no small feat. And then you realize Marvel has been around for a long time, and they've used every single word you might think of. We took ourselves off the hook for that and focused on the tagline. End quote. So, another new Marvel game that I probably won't buy, but this one's looking infinitely more promising than whatever the fuck this, like, mobile card RPG is looking like. This one actually kind of looks promising. If it's, like, a proper third-person adventure game that's, like, a fully flushed-out RPG, that would be a lot of fun. At least I think, personally. That could be a ton of fun. And I'm not sure if we're actually... the article says the time frame has Captain America front and center fighting against Hydra and German troops. I'm not sure if I'm not sure what capacity Captain America will be in. Will he be the leader of this team and a playable character? Or will he be kind of like a mentor character and the rest of these other three characters will be characters that you play as, and Captain America's just kind of up at the front being like, oh yeah, I'm in charge of you, blah blah blah, you know? Like, will Captain America be the Nick Fury of this quote-unquote SHIELD team? You know what I mean? Will Captain America play more of like a Nick Fury role, or will he actually be like the leader of the team and go out and do stuff with them and be a playable character? Only time will tell. But moving on to our fourth topic, apparently Disney is making a Mario Kart game. Like a Mario Kart-like game. I never knew this, but apparently Disney is making it. It is called Disney Speedstorm. And it is upcoming free-to-play kart racer starring a who's who of Disney and Pixar icons. Got a new trailer highlighting the terrifying or hilarious, depending on your reaction, inclusion of Monsters, Inc. So Monsters, Inc. is represented with its own themed course that takes players throughout the corporate office of the Department of Doors. We also got to see Mike Wazowski, Randall, and Celia behind the wheel as playable racers, joining the previously announced Sully, Mickey Mouse, Mulan, and Jack Sparrow. Disney Speedstorm still has no release window, but it is slated to launch on Switch and PC. So if you're on Xbox or PlayStation, I'm sorry, you're not gonna get Disney Speedstorm apparently. But that's interesting. Like, I feel like a lot of companies, and they have been doing this for a while, are like, especially recently though, are really like tackling the genres and game types that other companies have had on lock over the years. And what I mean by that is, like, for years and years, the only, like, 2D... I say 2D. By 2D, I mean, like, from the side angle. 2D fighter arena game type games was, like Smash Brothers was, like, the top tier for that. And the only other game that I knew about that stepped up to the plate and tried to challenge Smash was, like, Brawlhalla. Right? Because you had, like, Blaze Blue and, like, Skullgirls, but those were more, like, Mortal Kombat style 2D fighters. Like, they weren't, like, as, like, jumpy and floaty, and, like, it wasn't necessarily an arena 2D fighter. It was kind of more of, like, just, like, a one-on-one in one 2D side-scrolling level, like, Injustice, Skullgirls, Mortal Kombat, that kind of shit. Smash was kind of at the top of that, and the only other one that I know that kind of challenged that was Brawlhalla. But now recently we have like multiverses, right? And it's the same with Mario Kart. Like Mario Kart held this like top position, and then I forget what the game was called, but there was another kart racer. Oh, Crash Team Racing. That's what it was. Like Mario Kart has always been at the top, and then Crash Team Racing was like the backup if you weren't a Nintendo person. And then now we have like this fucking game, and there was another one I think that I can't remember that had come out, that has been out too. So now like a lot of these like high profile game types that like fucking so or Nintendo and Sega have kind of like had a hold of are now getting just flooded with all these different games, which is good. I like the idea that there's a variety here. Like, I don't like that I would have to buy a Nintendo Switch to play a Mario Kart game. I like that this game is coming out. So if I ever want to play like a Mario Kart game, I can buy fucking Disney Speedstorm and not have to buy a fucking Nintendo Switch. It's coming out, Speedstorm is coming out on the Nintendo Switch anyway, but it's also coming out on PC, so I don't have to buy a fucking Switch just to play like a Mario Kart game. So there you go. I don't know. I'm kind of hyped about it. I'd be willing to give it a shot, especially if it releases for like $30. Hell yeah, I'll pick that up. It sounds like a fun time. Me and the friends, you know. Moving on to our fifth topic. Did you play the game Gargoyles in 1995, and did you like it? Because if you played the original 1995 Gargoyles and you liked it, then there's some good news for you, because Gargoyles is back. Sort of. The 1995 Sega Genesis side-scroller based on the beloved 90s animated series is getting the remaster treatment, bringing Goliath and his team, much to their chagrin, back into the spotlight. I don't know what chagrin means, but whatever. Unfortunately, the reveal didn't come alongside a trailer, a list of platforms, or a release window. However, it sounds like we should expect similar treatment at the Disney Classics Games Collection received. Those games were enhanced with high-res graphics, a rewind ability, a level skip, and art galleries showcasing concept sketches and other historical goodies. So, if you ever watched the old 1995 Gargoyles and you liked it, then it seems like they're making, they're remastering the 95 Genesis side-scroller game. So, there you go. Have no experience with the game myself. I did, and probably somewhere in this house still do, own a Sega Genesis. I just never had Gargoyles. The two Sega Genesis games that I have, here, let me show you the two Sega Genesis games I had. So, I had this game, and this game. These are the two games that I had for Sega Genesis, okay? Now, we had, I think, a third one that was like a Stargate game, but these are the main two Sega Genesis games I played. Star Trek The Next Generation Echoes from the Past was the one, and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was the other one. These were like the big two Sega Genesis games I had when I was younger. Were these two. Now, I make that sound like I'm really old or something. Well, not really old, but makes it sound like I'm old enough to have this console when it was in its heyday. No. My parents had bought, my dad specifically, I think, his parents bought him this console, the Sega Genesis, and we've just had it forever. And I remember I would occasionally plug it into my TV and play Star Trek The Next Generation and the Power Rangers game. I fucking loved this Power Rangers game. It was so much fun. It was just like a Mortal Kombat, like, side-by-side, you know, fighting game. But it was fun. So I have very fond memories of playing Power Rangers and Star Trek on fucking Sega Genesis. So when I heard about this, I'm like, yeah, I'll tell some people about it in case there's some older people who will end up watching this on YouTube or in the stream that played the original 95 Sega Genesis game. And it'll allow me to say, like, hey, you know, I can relate to the older audience as well because I have a Sega Genesis. And I've played a couple of games on it. They were quite fun. But anyway, we're moving on to our sixth topic. And I'm not gonna lie, this sixth topic The sixth, why can I not say that correctly? Sixth topic actually excites me quite a bit. It seems like EA is pulling a complete and full 180 from their sentiment a few years ago about single-player games. If you guys don't remember, a few years ago, EA publicly stated, or a representative from EA publicly stated that single players were dead. People aren't interested in single player games from us. We're giving up on single player games because the market is all in on the massive multiplayer shooter games or whatever the fuck, like Battlefield and Battlefront. I think they said this shortly after Battlefront 2 came out, but it was before God of War, the newest God of War, had come out for PS4, and it was before Jedi Fallen Order came out. So it was this awkward limbo where they just released Battlefront 2, but it was before God of War and before Jedi Fallen Order. And after God of War came out and completely broke fucking sales records or whatever the fuck it was, it broke some sort of record that I don't remember off the top of my head. And then Jedi Fallen Order came out and made them a fuck ton of money because it was like a single player fucking action adventure Jedi game. It seems like they've now, in modern day, have just completely pulled a fucking 180 on what they said back then, and they're like, yeah, we're fucking wrong. They never said that they were wrong themselves, but they realized, yeah, we were dead fucking wrong. So, reading from the article now. Following the rocky and bug-filled launch of Battlefield 2042 last year, EA announced that Respawn's Vince Zampella was named as head of the Battlefield franchise amidst wider franchise changes that included the creation of a Battlefield universe. Then, a few months later, EA announced that its next Battlefield game had entered pre-production, using, quote, valuable lessons learned from Battlefield 2042. While exactly what the next Battlefield game is remains sorry, I read that completely wrong. While exactly what the Battlefield game is remains unconfirmed, I'm assuming they meant, a new Battlefield-centric blog post from Chief Experience Officer of EA, Byron Bede, and the Battlefield team sheds new light on a possibility. The next game might be a narrative-focused one set in the Battlefield universe. Quote, many of you know that Marcus Leto joined the team earlier this year, the blog post reads. Quote, today we announced the name of his new Seattle-based studio, Ridgeline Games. Marcus will bring his long legacy of creating fascinating worlds and gripping narratives to Battlefield. Backed by a world-class team, he'll be leading the charge to develop a narrative campaign set in the Battlefield universe that will engage fans in new and exciting ways while remaining true to the classic elements of the series. End quote. So as you can see, the blog post doesn't indicate that Leto's narrative game is the next Battlefield, but it's a possibility, as this is a new multiplayer-focused project like Battlefield 2042, only time will tell. So now moving on to my opinion, I'm a little hyped for this, because I really liked Battlefield Hardline 3 and 4's campaigns. I didn't really like 1's campaign, and I never bought Battlefield 5, but here's the thing. I abhor Battlefield Hardline. I fucking hate Battlefield Hardline through and through. But its campaign was pretty good. I liked Battlefield 3's multiplayer, but I loved Battlefield 3's campaign, even though it was, like, stupidly short. And I really did quite enjoy Battlefield 4's campaign. Battlefield 4's campaign was definitely a barrel of fun, and the multiplayer wasn't that bad. So it's one of those things where if it's like a modern-day story-based Battlefield game, like imagine a Battlefield, like Battlefield 4's campaign, or like a Call of Duty campaign, but stretched to like a 10-hour long campaign because all of the dev time went specifically into a story mode rather than just having like a 3 to 4 hour campaign and then the rest of it is just focused on multiplayer. That would be so good. I would, like, if it could bring back the same, like, storytelling vibes from Hardline. Like, Hardline was fun. I didn't like Hardline's multiplayer, but Battlefield Hardline's campaign was a lot of fun. Anyway, moving on to our 7th topic. Again, we're going to be talking about Call of Duty and Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. And this topic goes out to all of the PlayStation fans or the PlayStation owners that watch and listen to this podcast. Enjoy COD while it lasts. And I even put I literally even put LOL next to this. I'm sure that every PlayStation fanboy under the sun was like fucking worried as shit when Microsoft acquired Activision Blizzard. Because yeah, as we all know, and in case you don't know, Call of Duty, for as long as it's been a series, has always shared Xbox favoritism. Meaning the games would always release DLC early on Xbox. Xbox always got a beta earlier than the other platforms, stuff like that. Well, in recent times, that has shifted to PlayStation. So Call of Duty has had a PlayStation favoritism. Like when the Xbox One and the PS4 were coming out, Activision Blizzard went, right, we're changing from Xbox to PlayStation. So then PlayStation got the favoritism. So PlayStation started getting releases a bit early. They got DLC early. They got betas early. Now that Microsoft has bought Activision Blizzard, it seems like it's going to change the other way, and Sony is pretty fucking pissed about it. So Microsoft announced in January, now I'm reading from the article, by the way. Microsoft announced in January that it was moving to acquire Activision Blizzard for a colossal $68.7 billion, making it far and away the most expensive acquisition in gaming history. Now, of course, regulators like the UK's Competition and Markets Authority and the US's FTC must approve of this, and those investigations are ongoing. But suppose all goes according to Microsoft's plan. In that case, the company will own Activision Blizzard and the publisher and developer behind Call of Duty, Overwatch, World of Warcraft, and more by the spring or summer of 2023. Shortly after the company announced its plans to acquire Activision Blizzard, Xbox head Phil Spencer confirmed his company's intent, quote, to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation, end quote, following the purchase. He reaffirmed his commitment earlier this month, going as far as to speak to PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan and promise Call of Duty will remain on PlayStation even after Activision Blizzard and Sony's contracts have run their courses. In a new statement to GameIndustry.biz, Ryan has revealed that Call of Duty will remain on PlayStation for 3 years after his company's contracts with Activision Blizzard are done. However, Ryan calls this, quote, inadequate, and seemingly expresses some frustration over the fact that Spencer publicly discussed that he and Ryan had spoken about this Call of Duty situation, calling it, quote-unquote, private business. This is a quote from the GameIndustry.biz article. Quote, I hadn't intended to comment on what I understood to be private business discussion, but I feel the need to set the record straight because Phil Spencer brought this into the public forum. Ryan's statement reads, according to GameIndustry.biz, quote, Microsoft has openly offered for Call of Duty to remain on PlayStation for 3 years after the current agreement between Activision and Sony ends. After almost 20 years of Call of Duty on PlayStation, their proposal was inadequate on many levels and failed to take account of the impact on our gamers. We want to guarantee PlayStation gamers continue to have the highest quality Call of Duty experience, and Microsoft's proposal undermines this principle, end quote. GamesIndustry.biz says it's believed that the current deal between Sony and Activision Blizzard is set to last for the next 3 years, or set to last for the next 3 Call of Duty releases, including this year's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. So, yeah, it seems like Phil Spencer was, like, you know, addressing the public, being like, yeah, you know, Call of Duty will stay on PlayStation, and then people at PlayStation were pissed because they're like, wow, you're just talking about our business deals out in the fucking open, and, you know, like, I don't know. Sony's pissed. I feel like Sony's pissed at the acquisition. They're pissed that Phil Spencer's just openly being like, yeah, you guys can keep Call of Duty on your console. Like, he's just like, Phil Spencer's just throwing his dick around. And Sony's, like, really pissed at it, which I can understand. But at the same time, it's like he's literally saying that Call of Duty can stay favored towards your system, and you're still getting mad about it. I understand that they might be mad at the acquisition, but at the end of the day, Microsoft is buying them. Unless the UK and US, like, trades commissions deem this purchase, like, unlawful, and they make them, like, cancel this acquisition, like, which it doesn't seem like they are, by the way. It seems like this acquisition is definitely gonna happen. Then, like, They paid the 68 point whatever billion dollars to acquire the company. Sony, you didn't. So, like, I doubt that Microsoft will be like, it's not allowed on PlayStation at all, but, like, they're literally offering, at least for 3 years after the contract expires, to still keep the game favored to PlayStation. And yet, you're pissed that he told the community that? Like, I don't know, is Sony pissed that, like, it's only for 3 years, or are they pissed that he said anything at all? It's kind of confusing me. I'm not exactly sure if I completely understand what's going on, because these are big companies throwing billions of dollars, meanwhile I'm struggling to keep my own personal bank account above 10. But, not 10 billion, just $10. Anyway, enough about Call of Duty. Moving on to the 8th topic. The 8th topic is going to be talking about something that I really, really wish I could get invested in, but I just can't. I would get it, but it's only wireless with a USB-C cable, so I don't care. I'm wired all the way. So, following recent leaks of a white Xbox Elite Wireless Series 2 controller, Microsoft has officially unveiled it, dubbing this controller the quote-unquote core edition of the Series 2. That core title is because it's been designed to meet the core needs of today's competitive gamers, seemingly at a more affordable cost because it's about $50 cheaper than the standard Black Series 2 controller. The latter costs $179.99, while the former, the new core controller, will run you about $130. As for why, it's because the core controller comes with fewer customizable features that have since defined the Elite series of controllers for Xbox. The core controller does not include a charging dock, the 4 back pedals, the additional thumbstick and D-pad, or the carrying case. However, you can add these accessories to the core controller by purchasing the complete component pack separately for $60. These accessories can be used on both the core controller and as replacement parts for your current Elite Series 2 controller. So, my point in bringing this up is, when I first read this, I was gassed, because I'm like, holy shit, are they finally making an Xbox Elite controller that I could use for PC that, like, is actually worth me getting because it's not, like, almost $200. And then I read that it is also wireless and comes with only a USB-C. Listen, I am wired all the way, okay? USB-C controllers do not work for me. That USB-C will come unplugged and it will fuck up my game. This is the only controller I've been using. This is the only fucking controller that I have been using and I will continue to use. Not this specific one, but the same design, okay? Actually, no, I think this one... Yeah, this one that I'm about to pull up, this is literally the controller I own now and play games with. This one right here. Open image and new tab. This one right here. This is the controller I use. This wired Xbox 360 controller. Mine in real life even says Voye on it. This one that I'm holding right now is also made by the same company as this picture. This is the exact controller I have. And the reason why is because of this right fucking here. This right here. This is hardwired to, like, the motherboard of the controller. This breaks off into wires that actually connect to the controller inside. I am tired of these fucking USB-C fucking ports. None of them, for some reason, can ever make those ports right. You put it in, and it fucking wiggles and disconnects. Every time. Every time. Like, my Xbox Series S came with a white Series S Xbox One controller. I like using an Xbox One controller infinitely better than the 360 controller now. In my opinion, the Xbox One controllers are just a ergonomically better fitting Xbox 360 controller. However, I can't use them because every Xbox One controller comes with a fucking USB-C wire. And my computer does not have Bluetooth capability built into it. It just doesn't have Bluetooth built in. So I can't use it wirelessly with my computer either. Actually, I do think my computer has Bluetooth capability, but it's really shit. Like, it'll connect, but then it won't work. Like, the Bluetooth connection will connect, but then the connection is so weak and awful that it won't work and it'll misinput a bunch of shit. Like, I do not use Bluetooth with my PC. I want a fucking wired controller to use for my PC, and that's why I will keep buying this fucking controller anytime I need a fucking controller. Until they make a non-third-party, shitty, wired Xbox One controller, I will keep using that. I have seen stuff like this. I'm trying to find a picture of it. Like I have seen stuff like these. Which, holy fuck, that image is small. Why is it so small? I have been seeing stuff like these. But that's a USB-C. It's not hardwired into the controller. There's plenty of third-party controllers. Like, this one looks kinda pog. But I don't buy it because I don't know how reliable this controller is. I don't know if I'm gonna buy it, plug it in, use it for a little bit, and then it has, like, horrible stick drift and the buttons start not working. You know, like, I don't know the quality of these products. I've gone to Amazon and I've seen these, and every time I've seen these specific controllers, or one like this, the reviews aren't the greatest on it. And it makes me worried. I want the, like, Xbox One controller, like, fit. Like, I want an Xbox One controller for my PC, but I'm stuck with the Xbox 360 controller for PC because it's the, like, this Voye controller, this controller is made of the same quality that the original Xbox 360 controllers were made of. So I know it's going to work for a while. Whereas, like, these newer ones, since the Xbox One is a newer controller, these newer third-party ones that have, like, these weird lights and middle buttons that do very unknown things, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to plug them in my PC and they'll work to begin with. Not to mention that if the company that made it does have online drivers that I can download, will they be good? Will they be bad? Will they be buggy? Will they be malware? I don't know. And it's like this huge question mark. Whereas with this Voye controller, it's a 360 controller. You plug it in and it just fucking works. And I want an Xbox One hardwired controller that doesn't have a USB-C that'll slip out or wiggle and disconnect, that you can just plug in and it works. But I've yet to see a reliable one of those on the market. If you know of one, please leave it in the comments, because I would love to know. Anyway, finally, 52 minutes, pretty much at the end of the podcast here. I have another 3 topics to get through, and they're not gaming related. So we've reached the end of the gaming related topics. Now we're moving on to 3 real world topics that I have found that I figured were worth talking about. So our 9th topic... Sorry, my fucking mouth and throat is getting dry. Hold on. Damn you, Ubisoft. Fucking talking about all your future Assassin's Creed shit, making me speed through this fucking podcast. Like, man, I'm legitimately speeding through this and trying to keep my, like, extra commentary to a minimum, and I'm already at 53 fucking minutes. Jesus. Anyway, 9th topic for this evening. I'm just gonna say I'd die. I would die. I would suffer a fucking panic attack and die in this situation. But this situation happened in Beijing, China. And it says, Chinese state media say a man has been found safe. So he is safe. He's not dead or anything. But a man has been found after he spent 2 days in the air in a hydrogen balloon. He traveled about 320 kilometers or 200 miles after the balloon became untethered and flew away while he was using it to harvest pine nuts from a tree. The man, identified only by his surname, which is Hu, H-U, Hu, and a partner were collecting pine nuts on Sunday in a forest park in Heilongjiang province in northeastern China. I hope I didn't butcher that. When they lost control and the balloon sailed off. The other person jumped to the ground and a search was launched for the escaped balloon and Hu. So, Hu and his friend, as soon as that balloon came untethered, his friend fucking leapt out of it, fell about the height of a pine tree, hit the fucking ground, was probably uninjured or got a minor injury, and then managed to call the police. State broadcaster CCTV said rescuers were able to contact the man by cell phone the following morning and instructed him to safely deflate the balloon and to land safely. It took another day before he reached the ground about 320 kilometers or 200 miles to the northeast in Fangzheng region, close to the border with Russia. This man literally went up in a balloon in Heilongjiang and fucking drifted 200 miles to Fangzheng on the border with Russia. This man drifted, like, across a nice chunk of China. He was actually reportedly in good health, apart from a pain in his lower back, which was possibly caused by standing the entire time he was in the air, the CCTV said. An official who gave only his surname, Fu, at the publicity department of the Highland Forestry Administration Company on Thursday confirmed the balloon incident and described Hu as being in his 40s. He said Hu was recovering in a hospital, but declined to give further details. And then pine nuts are found inside pine cones and are a frequent ingredient in dishes served in the Northeast, formerly known as Manchuria. So, there you go. Dude was just looking for some fucking pine nuts and floated away. All right. Our 10th topic for the day is you gotta respect the hustle. It is unclear. This topic mentions that this person might have been a YouTuber, but whether if they were actually a barber or they were a YouTuber, you have to respect the hustle for the money or respect the hustle for the content here, ladies and gentlemen. In New York, there was quite a hairy situation at the US Open on Tuesday night. Two men's stay in the Arthur Ashe Stadium seats was cut short after one buzzed the other one's head right there in the stands, while Nick Kyrgios and Karen Khachanov played their quarterfinal. They had clippers and the sort of cape a barber usually uses to keep a customer clean. Soon enough, social media users were all excited about how a YouTuber known for his pranks had pulled this one off. Tournament security removed the two from the match. Quote, when someone saw it, security went to the two individuals. They were escorted out of their seats and then off the grounds for disruption of play. End quote. U.S. Tennis Association Brian McIntyre said, also adding, quote, there's a first time for anything, end quote. So there you go. Whether if it's a grind of an actual barber cutting his client's hair, or it was actually a fucking YouTuber that just, you know, they pulled off a fucking barber prank at the fucking US Open. That's fucking great, man. You gotta respect the hustle for the content. You just gotta respect the hustle for the content. Anyways, we're finally gonna be ending this podcast on our 11th topic. 20 fucking pages later. We're ending the podcast on our final topic. Where my foot go? Where my foot go? This article, I decided to add this to cap off the show because I thought that it was a really cool piece of little history that could really give us an insight on how human technology and what ideals humans have had for literally tens of thousands of years. So this was also an article coming out of New York. The 31,000-year-old skeleton of a young adult found in a cave in Indonesia that is missing its left foot and part of its left leg revealed the oldest known evidence of an amputation, according to a new study. Scientists say the amputation was performed when the person was a child, and that the quote-unquote patient went on to live for years as an amputee. The prehistoric surgery could show that humans were making medical advances much earlier than previously thought, according to the study published Wednesday in the journal Nature. Researchers were exploring a cave in Borneo, a rainforest known for having some of the earliest rock art in the world, when they came across the grave, said Tim Maloney, an archaeologist at Griffith University in Australia, and the study's lead researcher. Though much of the skeleton was intact, it was missing its left foot and lower part of its left leg, he explained. After examining the remains, the researchers concluded the foot bones weren't missing from the grave or lost in an accident. They were carefully removed. The remaining leg bone showed a clean, slated cut that healed over, Maloney said. There were no signs of infection, which would be expected if the child had gotten its leg bitten off by a creature like a crocodile. And there were also no signs of a crushing fracture, which would have been expected if the leg had snapped off in an accident. So, 31,000 years ago, somebody got their left foot and part of their left leg amputated. Which, that's just absolutely fascinating to me, because that's just, that just kind of breeds this idea of, like, how long have these seemingly modern medical practices been happening? Like, that means that 31,000 years ago in what is now known as Indonesia, that person, probably during birth or sometime in early childhood, had an accident or had a cut or something that got infected or something happened to that person's foot that a local village doctor or whatever knew that they needed to chop off their leg. So it makes me think, like, how long has humanity known about, like, infections and the dangers of leaving medical issues untreated? You know? And yet still to this day, there are people who will get a gash on their arm and not go to the doctor for it. Because they're just too stubborn. And yes, there are some instances where, like, oh, I don't have enough money to go to the doctor and whatever. But most of the time, you'll meet somebody who has, like, a giant gash on their arm. They just fucking, you know, ace bandage it up. And they're like, yeah, I don't feel like going to the doctor. Well, why not? Do you have the money for it? Yeah, I have the money for it. I just don't feel like going. Like, and yet this fucking young adult from 31,000 years ago suffered something, and the doctor was like, right, we gotta take your fucking foot. And they did that. They amputated their foot because they wanted to survive. That's insane. Which also, fun fact about Borneo, Borneo is actually I think an Indonesian rainforest that there's actually a show made about it that I used to watch back in middle school before I would go to school in the morning, called Orangutan Island. And it was this island in Borneo that had a bunch of orangutans on it, and there was this British woman who owned the sanctuary, and she kept these fucking orangutans in, like, this, like, island habitat. It was a pretty cool fucking show. I enjoyed it. It was interesting learning about orangutans. But yeah, no. So whenever I see Borneo, I'm like, oh, yeah, Orangutan Island. I remember that show. But anyways, this podcast has now been going for an hour. Audience on YouTube, thank you guys so much for watching. I believe it's gonna sound like a pitiful amount, especially compared to my main channel, but I do believe that if I can switch, yeah, the bullshit channel has 5 subs. I appreciate the 5 of you who actually went over there and subscribed. I'm planning on doing this podcast for literally the foreseeable future. Sorry, I accidentally clicked the microphone icon on YouTube. I'm literally, preparing to have this podcast run for the foreseeable future. So thank you guys so much for subscribing. Thank you for checking it out. I have been Verve. This has been the September 12th, 2022 edition of the Bullshit Podcast. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you. And as always, I will see you next Monday. Bye-bye.